All right, so we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about, um, better relationships at work,
Yeah.
especially for neurodivergent professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, we're taking a look at Aubrey Arms's coaching program, Neurodivergent Career Navigator.
Yes.
You know, you're looking for strategies to make those relationships work for you, not against you, right?
Right.
And it's all about investing your energy in the connections that really matter
Yes.
for a more fulfilling career.
Absolutely. And that's what makes Aubrey's program so interesting. She
Mhm.
really tackles the specific challenges neurodivergent professionals face
Yeah.
in navigating those sometimes tricky workplace dynamics.
You know what really struck me going through the materials for this deep dive
Yeah.
is how much Aubrey's participants talk about feeling empowered
Oh, yeah.
to change their approach to relationships.
Absolutely.
It takes guts to challenge those ingrained patterns.
It does.
And it sounds like this program gives them the tools to do just that.
It does. And it reminds us that self-awareness and intentional action are key, especially in a professional setting.
For sure.
This isn't just about getting along.
Right.
It's about strategically building a network that supports your growth and well-being.
Yeah. Okay, so let's break down how this program actually works.
Okay.
It's a 10-week group coaching format, right?
Yes, exactly.
With modules covering a pretty wide range of topics.
Yes, you've got modules on developing a growth mindset, navigating masking and authenticity, which is huge for neurodivergent folks,
Yeah.
and even one called Crunchy Conversations.
Okay, now that one piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
What exactly are crunchy conversations?
Well, it seems like crunchy conversations are those potentially difficult discussions we often try to avoid,
Right.
like addressing conflicts, setting boundaries, or advocating for our needs.
Yeah.
Aubrey provides a framework for approaching these conversations with confidence and clarity.
So it's about turning those cringeworthy moments into productive dialogues. I can see how that would be invaluable,
Yeah.
especially in a professional context where clear communication is so crucial.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that sets Aubrey's program apart is this really cool framework she uses called the 7 Directions of Professional Relationships.
Okay.
It's all about mapping out your work relationships
Wow.
to understand their impact on you.
Okay, I'm picturing like a compass with different relationship categories.
Yeah.
What are some of the directions she outlines?
Think of it like this. You're at the center of your professional compass.
Okay.
Each direction represents a different category of relationship.
Okay.
Your boss and leadership team,
Mm-hmm.
clients or customers,
Got it.
colleagues and coworkers, mentors, and even those more peripheral connections.
So it's like getting a bird's eye view of your entire work ecosystem.
Yes.
And understanding how each relationship fits into the bigger picture.
Exactly. And this visual framework ties in beautifully with another key concept in the program,
Okay.
prioritizing relationships. It's about recognizing that not all relationships are created equal,
Right.
and we can't and shouldn't invest the same amount of energy in each one.
That makes sense. You can't be best friends with everyone at work, right?
Right.
Plus, spreading yourself too thin can lead to burnout.
Exactly. And this is where Aubrey introduces this brilliant analogy.
Yay.
Bonsai trees, philodendrons, and gray rocks.
I love a good analogy.
It's a way to categorize your relationships based on priority and determine how much time and energy to invest in each one.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
All right.
Lay it on me. Which relationships are the bonsais?
Oh.
And which ones are best left as gray rocks?
Well, think of your high priority relationships like bonsai trees.
Okay.
They're beautiful and require careful attention, regular nurturing, and precise pruning to thrive.
So we're talking about your manager, key collaborators,
Yeah.
mentors who are actively invested in your success.
Yes.
Those people you really want in your corner.
Precisely. Then you have the moderate priority relationships, the philodendrons. They add value to your work life,
Uh-huh.
but they don't require the same level of constant care as the bonsai.
Gotcha.
Think of colleagues you collaborate with occasionally or allies within your organization.
Right.
You check in on them, water them occasionally, but they're pretty low maintenance.
We got it. The philodendrons are those solid, dependable connections. You don't need to chat every day, but you know they're there and you value their input.
A perfect analogy. And finally, we have the low priority relationships, the gray rocks.
Okay.
These are the relationships that have minimal impact on your work,
Mm-hmm.
and in some cases might even drain your energy.
Ooh, yeah, the dreaded energy vampires.
Yes.
We all have those coworkers who leave us feeling exhausted and depleted after every interaction.
Right.
It's like they suck the life force right out of you.
And Aubrey's advice for those gray rock relationships,
Yeah.
Minimize your time and effort.
Okay.
Maintain professionalism, of course,
Yeah.
but don't let them drain you.
For sure.
Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Okay, so we've got our bonsais or philodendrons and, let's be honest, a few gray rocks scattered around the office.
Right.
But how do we actually put these categories into practice?
Yeah.
It's one thing to label them,
Right.
but how do we change how we interact with each group?
That's where Aubrey provides some really practical tools. She introduces what she calls categories of professional relationships,
Okay.
which is like a field guide to understanding the different types of people you might encounter at work.
A field guide for coworkers.
Yeah.
That's a new one. I'm intrigued. What kind of species are we talking about here?
Well, you have the familiar ones like ally and mentor,
Right.
but then there are some more nuanced categories like influencer,
Okay.
those individuals with a lot of sway within the organization.
Mhm.
And then you have the gatekeepers,
Oh, yeah.
those who control access to information or resources.
Oh, I know a few gatekeepers. They can be tricky to navigate,
Right.
but understanding their role helps you figure out how to approach them, right?
Exactly. And then there's the vampire, which we already touched on.
Uh-huh.
Those energy drainers who leave you feeling depleted.
Oh, yes, the vampires.
Yes.
I think we've all encountered a few of those in our careers.
Yes.
It's like they feed off your enthusiasm and leave you feeling like a deflated balloon.
And Aubrey doesn't shy away from the tougher stuff either.
Okay.
She even has a category called saboteur
Whoa.
for those individuals who might actively undermine your work or try to sabotage your success.
Saboteur, that's intense.
Yeah.
Hopefully most of us don't have to deal with those too often.
Right?
But it's good to be aware that these types exist.
Right. And then there's the NPC now, before you think I'm talking about video games.
Okay.
Let me explain. Aubrey uses this term for those people who are just kind of there in the background of your work life.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily helpful or harmful. They're just present.
So the NPCs are kind of like the office furniture. They're part of the environment.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily need to engage with them on a deep level.
Exactly. The key with all these categories is not to get too hung up on labeling people.
Right.
It's more about recognizing patterns of behavior and understanding how different types of people might impact your energy and your work.
So it's about being observant and adapting your approach based on who you're interacting with.
Yes.
Not trying to force everyone into the same box.
Precisely. And once you have a better understanding of the different players in your workplace,
Okay.
Aubrey introduces these really insightful relationship assessment tools.
Okay, you mentioned these earlier. There's a scale for everything, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about how these assessments work.
Well, there's the relationship health scale, which, as you might guess, helps you assess the overall health of each relationship on a scale of 1 to 5. A 1 would be a very negative relationship full of conflict and distrust.
Yeah.
While a 5 would be a super strong and positive relationship with lots of collaboration and open communication.
Okay, so it's a way to gauge where each relationship stands on a spectrum, from toxic to thriving. What are some of the other scales?
There's a growth potential scale, which helps you identify those relationships that have the potential to evolve and deepen over time.
Okay.
And then there's the trust and reliability scale, which is pretty self-explanatory. It measures how much you trust and rely on each person.
Those all make sense, but there was one that really piqued my interest, the emotional energy scale.
Yes.
Tell me more about that one.
This one is all about how each relationship affects your energy levels.
Okay.
Does it leave you feeling drained and exhausted, or does it energize and fulfill you?
Yeah.
This scale helps you pinpoint the energy vampires and identify the relationships that actually boost your energy.
This is hitting home for me. I definitely have some relationships that leave me feeling depleted, like I've just run a marathon.
Right.
And then there are others that energize me, like I've just had a great cup of coffee. Knowing how to identify these dynamics is so valuable.
It is. And the beauty of Aubrey's approach is that she doesn't just leave you with these assessments. She also provides practical guidance on what to do with the insights you gain.
You mentioned exercises. What are some examples of how Aubrey helps people actually use this stuff?
Well, one exercise focuses on identifying relationships that need nurturing.
Okay.
She encourages participants to think about those bonsai tree relationships and brainstorm specific actions they can take to strengthen those connections.
So it could be something as simple as scheduling a regular coffee chat with a mentor.
Yeah.
Or setting up a recurring check-in meeting with a key collaborator.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and making those relationships a priority. And for those relationships that need a little more distance, the gray rocks.
Yeah.
Aubrey provides strategies for setting boundaries and protecting your energy.
I get the bonsai analogy, but Isn't it a bit cold to categorize people like that?
That's a fair point, and Aubrey acknowledges that these categories aren't meant to box people in.
Right.
People are complex and dynamic, and relationships can evolve. The real value of these tools is in raising your awareness of how different relationships affect you
Hmm.
and giving you a framework for making conscious choices about where you invest your energy.
So it's more about understanding the dynamics at play, not slapping labels on people and writing them off.
Precisely. And remember, even small shifts in how you approach your relationships can make a big difference.
This is all so insightful.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already starting to see my work relationships in a new light.
Yeah.
What about you? What stands out to you as the most valuable takeaway from Aubrey's program?
For me, it's the combination of practical tools and insightful frameworks. It's not just about feeling good, it's
Mm,
about having concrete strategies for creating positive change in your work life.
absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that this isn't just for neurodivergent professionals.
Right.
Anyone who wants to improve their work relationships can benefit from these principles.
I completely agree. These are universal skills that can help anyone build a more fulfilling and supportive work environment.
This has been so eye-opening. I'm feeling inspired to take action. What's one small step our listener could take today to start applying these principles in their own work life?
That's a great question. I would encourage them to choose one relationship.
Okay.
It could be a bonsai they want to nurture, or even a gray rock they need to set some boundaries with.
Uh-huh.
And brainstorm just one small action they can take this week to move that relationship in a more positive direction.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we can learn from just one small step, isn't it?
It is.
Sometimes we get so caught up in the big picture that we forget the power of those tiny actions that can shift the entire trajectory of a relationship.
So true. And I think that's what makes Aubrey's program so effective.
Yeah.
It breaks down those seemingly overwhelming challenges into manageable steps.
Exactly. It's not about becoming a relationship guru overnight.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices day by day to build the kind of work life you truly want.
And that brings us to another important point Aubrey emphasizes.
Okay.
Self-care, you can't pour from an empty cup. Right.
It's crucial to prioritize your own well-being
Mm-hmm.
so you have the energy and resilience to navigate those sometimes complex workplace dynamics.
This all sounds great, but I'm wondering how realistic it is to completely avoid those gray rock people.
Yeah,
In a typical workplace, sometimes you just have to interact with them, right?
that's a really good point. And Aubrey doesn't suggest that you can or should completely avoid those challenging individuals.
Okay.
It's more about minimizing their impact on your energy and well-being.
Uh-huh.
It might involve setting firmer boundaries, limiting your interactions, or even practicing some of those energetic protection techniques we mentioned earlier.
Okay, now you have to tell me more about these energetic protection techniques. I'm picturing some kind of force field around my desk.
It's not quite that dramatic.
Okay.
But Aubrey does offer some really practical tips for managing your energy, like
Yeah.
taking breaks when you need them, practicing mindfulness or meditation, and being mindful of your physical space and surroundings. So it's about creating an energetic bubble around yourself, even in the midst of a chaotic workplace.
Exactly. And remember, you have more control over your work environment than you might realize.
You know, as we're talking about this, it strikes me that these principles apply not just to work relationships,
Yeah.
but to all our relationships.
Right.
Being mindful, setting boundaries, and investing our energy wisely. These are skills that can benefit us in every area of our lives.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's what makes this conversation so valuable. It's
Yeah.
not just about punching the clock and getting the job done.
Right.
It's about creating a life that feels good from the inside out.
So well said. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Aubrey Arms's approach to relationship management, I want to leave our listener with this thought.
Okay.
What small step can you take today to create a more positive and fulfilling work experience?
It could be reaching out to a mentor, setting a boundary with an energy vampire,
Yeah.
or simply taking 5 minutes to breathe and recharge. Remember, every small action creates a ripple effect.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to build a work life that truly reflects your values and aspirations.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of neurodivergent professionals out there supporting each other and creating positive change in the workplace.
Until next time, keep shining bright.